it up, what was extraordinary was, when was the last time you heard a political leader in this country with a real shot at Downing Street calling for 300 to 400 billion pounds of cuts in their first term of government? I cannot remember it inside my lifetime. Here's what's really crazy about this. Almost all of those cuts, Trevor, would actually improve the lives of British people. That is the state of decay in this country.
Just to be absolutely clear, did you just say to me 300 to 400 billion pounds worth of cuts in public spending?
Correct.
That's what you're aiming
inside the first term. Yeah, that's exactly what Nigel said in his speech last week.
All right, well, let's talk about what will go. Where would the money come from? Let's just get rid of the whole idea of, getting rid of diversity and inclusion people. That'll get you 10 million. Where is the 300 to 400? I promise you. I know who they are. I know their names. Where would you get the 300 to 400 billion quid from?
The cost of DEI is pernicious, and we've cited the report. It was an independent think tank that had come up with that number, and it's well-sourced. But let's go through some really big numbers. Let's go through some really big numbers, shall we? So we have the $5 billion a year. We talk about infinite money for foreign citizens. $5 billion a year and growing that is currently being spent on people who come to the country illegally and make asylum claims. Then you have the cost of net zero, which we calculate to be the actual cost of the exchequer being around 45 billion, of which there is north of 12 billion, somewhere between 12 and 15 billion, that is directly inside government budgets. And that's before, Trevor, you talk about the fact that that policy, this insane policy, is the one that gives us the most expensive energy costs in the world. And that's why, that is the fundamental reason why we have no growth. Well, hold on, you asked me some cuts, and, I'm going through them. Then there's the 265 billion that is inside Quangos. We're saying we're going to cut 5% of that. That number's from 2021, adjusted for inflation today, that number's closer to 320 billion. Okay. That's another 15 billion.
Okay.
I could go on. So Trevor, the reality is we're the only ones. We're the only ones who are serious about this stuff. And we're going to put that money back in the pockets of people watching this programme.
Let's examine them. 45 billion on net zero. The Chancellor is putting 7 billion, as I recall, and I do recall it because she sat here and told me, into the Green Prosperity Plan. Where is the other 38 billion that you mentioned going?
It's throughout in a whole host of areas. So, for example, one area is the lost, for example, fuel and vehicle duty that is lost as a result of the frankly ridiculous intervention into private markets that the government has, for example, inside electric vehicles. That's a very significant amount.
So, hang on. So you're going to get rid of electric cars?
No.
And make people pay? So where are you going to get the money from?
We're going to stop the state subsidies that are going into the, quote, electrification that is happening, and the endless demands that are placed on automotive manufacturers, against their wishes, by the way. We talk about car manufacturing in this country. One of the reasons it has been decimated is because these companies that have made their businesses based on internal combustion engines are now being asked to make electric cars at a speed much faster than consumers want them.